And it has started recording. Fantastic.
Hey. Oh, all right. Should we start then? Maybe? Okay. Um, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone around the world who's joining us today for our student meetup. Today we're going to talk about the 2025 Arlington, Texas conference. So here we have a couple of people who will be joining us today, and we'll have a chance to answer some questions. So make sure you stick around and you get to see some sneak previews of what the conference will be like. And also, don't worry about taking notes or anything. This is going to be recorded for later and be posted with a link on the GAS website for your reference and to share with your friends. Next slide, please. So first of all, introductions. So this meeting is hosted by your two student representatives. My name is Jocelyn. I'm your international student representative. And we also have Zach here, who is your North American rep. And we also have some special guests today. Jennifer Hen, who is our conference manager. And Jennifer has been really busy planning all different aspects of all the conference, and she's very excited to share some cool details with you. And we also have James, one of our site committees, I think, and Brandy, our executive director here as well. And we also have our communication manager, Amanda, at the back helping us with technical stuff and recording. Next slide, please. Before we really dive into it, we just going to go through a couple of quick housekeeping and itinerary details. For those of you who don't know, the GAS student meetups are free virtual meetings held by your two student representatives, and we'll be recording today's program and posting it on our YouTube channel for accessibility purposes. So anyone who is comfortable keeping their cameras on, please do so. If not, that's totally okay too. We do ask that everyone keep themselves on mute and turn off the microphone unless they're speaking. And we have a raise hand function here in Google Meet at the bottom, so you can let us know if you got an immediate question. Also, feel free to use the chat box to write your questions. And for this presentation, we have a dedicated question and answer period at the very end of the presentation. So we'll be responding to questions in the chat from time to time, and ask that you save most of your questions for the end. And also for people with shaky Wi-Fi, we do recommend closing any unused tabs on your device to improve the Google Meeting quality, and in order to uphold our values of diversity and community and respect. We just ask that everyone to be kind and respectful to our moderators, guests, and fellow attendees. And remember, again, everything will be recorded, so you can always come back to it later on our YouTube channel. Next slide, please. So part one, we'll be talking about what is the Arlington, Texas GAS conference for 2025. What it's going to be like and what can you do there. Part two is going to be how you actually get to the conference, how to budget and how to bring stuff like that. And then part three is going to be our question and answer period. Okay, so part one, what is the 2025 Arlington, Texas GAS conference? I'm going to let our wonderful conference manager, Jennifer, to take it from here.
All right. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. Welcome to those of us joining us. And first, we're going to run through some highlighted conference activities because there is going to be so much to see and enjoy. We have an amazing lineup of special events and activities, as well as a truly riveting cast of presenters this year. So a sneak peek of our demonstrations and lectures. We have hot, flame, neon, cold, kiln, all of the glass modalities that we love. We have LECMOs, which, if you don't know, is a kind of cooking show style combination of lecture and demonstration mashed up. We have lectures and panels. We do have our film festival, which is still accepting entries, by the way, and many more. So in the hot and flame arena, Aaron Tate and Jason Christian will be teaming up for a group for a dual demonstration in the hot shop. Rob Stern, Hosuk Yoon, and Zach Lehue doing some goblet magic. Salt of the Flame Pipe community doing a fun flame demo that also incorporates some aspects of performance. And then Lace Face and Coil Condenser. So really a whole lot of fun, hot, and flame presentations this year. Our neon demos and lecmos. We have neon demonstrations, lecmos, and lectures this year, multiple. So in some gas conference years, there's only one or maybe two neon demos. This is a very neon-friendly conference. So if you are into the glow, Arlington is the place to go. James Akers, Mad Neon Wizard, Zoel Nagib and Jacob Fishman, who are going to be doing a game show style demonstration, which I'm very excited for. Apparently Chapel Roan is involved somehow. Can't wait to see. Jacob Wilcox showing how to make your own tubes to be both sustainable and thrifty. And then Angela McHale with a great demo, and Casey Lees actually looking at risograph printing and how that relates to neon education. So very exciting. And then that lecture on neon is going to be with Meryl Pataki and Taylor Healy. So that's going to be really great too, talking about neon stewardship and conservation. So Eric DePan is going to be showing off his amazing Batuto technique. And then Brie Gluzak, Georgia Redpath, and Feng Zhou Yuan and Mei Xuan Li will be doing some really interesting, innovative lecmos talking about foam glass, 3D printing, CNC, all sorts of really great and new ways of working with material. Now, geeking out about glass, yes, please. The De La Torre brothers will be providing an insight into their artist manifesto with why make anything. That's going to be fun. Like I mentioned, stewarding neon art, that collaborative exploration of future preservation with Taylor and Meryl. Integrating design into glass education, Eric Snee, and one of our personal favorites in the selection room, What's with All the Glass Pumpkins by Charlie Mannion. Really can't wait for that one. It's going to be a hoot. In addition to all of these great opportunities to see how people are pushing the material forward, there are going to be lots of ways to network, meet new people, make new connections at the conference. There will be special events. We'll have Firestarter, which is a gas fundraiser. This year, the ticket price point is very accessible. It's only $50. It gets you a free drink ticket if you're over 21, or a free soda ticket if you're not. As well as we will have a cash bar and light snacks available. That's going to be a hot glass demo with the De La Torre brothers. There's going to be music. There's going to be fun. And it's going to be your first opportunity to bid on our education auction, where you can enter in to win a spot in a class with our education partners from around the world, including a scholarship to Pilchuck, I might add. So very exciting. Our closing night party is going to be at the Arlington Museum of Art. We're going to have Alicia Egger's beautiful installation, You Are Magic, there, as well as an exhibition by the De La Torres. They are really highlighting this conference for us in a major way, and we're so grateful. So as always, that will be one free drink ticket per entry. If you are buying your 4-day conference pass, doesn't matter if it's work exchange or if it's a regular 4-day pass, the closing night party is included in that pass. So please keep that in mind. You don't need to buy an additional closing night party ticket if you have a regular style pass. And then a really fun opportunity this year, the artist brunch, which we've never, as far as my mind, done this before. That's going to be on Sunday. So the morning after the conference at Cottrell Rifkin Gallery in Dallas. So, if you're on your way out to the airport, stop by and network with the American Alliance for Contemporary Glass and Barbara Cottrell of Cottrell Rifkin. They'll be welcoming folks in to come and meet each other, meet collectors, and just have one last chance to connect before everyone takes off. All right. So Gas Market, Goblet Grab, and Drooly Trunk Show. These are some really great ways to score new glass goodies. and also meet new friends. So let's see, the gas market will be a way for vendors to reach new audiences, for you to go and get those diamond shears you've been saving up for. Goblet grab is an opportunity to donate a vessel. Doesn't have to be a goblet, just to be clear, any cup will do. And then it's a really fun and fast-paced event where you get to go and snatch your favorite cup, gently, of course, before anyone else gets to it. Jewelry trunk show. If you are a jewelry maker or a jewelry buyer, this is the event for you. It's a really great opportunity to get yourself some new handmade sparkle. I got this beautiful piece at the Berlin Jewelry Trunk Show from my friend Shebnem Kurtul of Turkey. It is one of my favorite pieces. There's amazing jewelry in our community. So if you make it, let us know. Apply to be a part of the trunk show. If you just want to buy it, come on down. That's going to be on Friday. Getting into some student-centric activities. Jocelyn, is this still me, or are y'all taking over at this point?
It's gonna be Zach.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. Next, I'm going to introduce some student-centric activities that will be happening during the conference. Next slide. First off, we have the GAS Student Meetup. This will be hosted by Jocelyn and I, and it's a casual get-together to meet other GLASS students from all around the world. I could say from personal experience, attending the conference with friends is infinitely more fun than traveling alone. So even if you are traveling alone, this will be a great place to form your little group and experience GAS Texas with like-minded students. A little side note on that, there might be a prize or two for those that attend that meetup. Next slide. And at every conference, there are portfolio reviews. This is a great time to share your work with gallery owners, curators, educators, and other artists to get their feedback. Slots are 20 to 25 minutes each. These are on a first come, first served basis. The signups will be online and that will be opened up very soon. A waiting list will also be kept once all the slots are filled in case of cancellations. Next slide, please. We also have the GAS Emerging Artist Panel. The GAS Emerging Artist Award was established by Dorothy and George Sachs to recognize emerging talent in the GLASS community. Each year, GAS hosts the panel where 3 artists share their newest works to the public. Students are highly encouraged to attend and see what is happening with fellow emerging talent in the field. Next slide. Next, we have our student exhibition. This year, it's titled Evolution 2025. This is a showcase of emerging international talent. The goal of this show is to showcase unique perspectives and emerging talent of students working primarily with GLASS. Next slide. And about the timeline of this exhibition, applications open November 11th, and the deadline is coming up this Sunday, January 5th. Students will be notified in February whether their work has been accepted. Finally, a jury panel will evaluate all eligible student entries and select award winners. This will be announced during the conference. At the exhibition. Awardees must be GAS student members through May 31st, 2025. Historically, more than $5,000 in cash and supplies have been awarded to student winners. Overall, participating in this exhibition is a great way to get exposure for students and could potentially lead in receiving some very valuable prizes. GAS also encourages sale of work during the exhibition. Artists may list their work as not for sale if they're not interested. Otherwise, please include sale price in USD, excluding shipping costs in your application. For work that will be sold, GAS will take a 30% commission. For shipping to the conference, details will be sent to artists that are selected, and GAS is not responsible for shipping costs to or from the exhibition. So that is the artist's responsibility. Next slide. And finally, we have our film festival this year. You could go and watch all your favorite GLASSy films from all around the world. GLASS artists and filmmakers are invited to submit films of any length for screening both in person and virtually. The film submission deadline is coming up on the 31st of this month. And next slide. And at this point, I will pass it off to an introduction about the conference venue. Not sure who's taking that.
I think that's me again. So welcome to Texas, y'all. So Texas is big. It's real big. So that's something to keep in mind for those of our community who might be traveling from outside of the United States. We have most of our official conference activities will be taking place in Arlington, Texas. And then we also have some fun special events that will be taking place in Fort Worth. We do have a Google map that I'm going to pop over to here so I can show kind of what that looks like. I'm going to share this tab instead. Everybody follow me. Yes, you did. Great. Fantastic. Good job. Okay. So Arlington and Fort Worth, and then up over there is Dallas. So Arlington is situated right in the middle between those two slightly larger cities. I'm going to zoom in first here on Arlington. This is the University of Texas at Arlington campus here. And then our hotel is actually right up here near Six Flags, Texas, by the way. Oops, sorry, hold on. There we go. Arlington Museum of Art and our hotel are all kind of in the same. And our hotel is so close to Six Flags that is what my pin there is trying to show me. But anyway, you get the idea. So we have about a 10-minute shuttle ride between our hotel and the downtown Arlington Center with the museum. And then the University of Texas at Arlington and Gray Area Studios, which should be this, excuse me, there we go. This little pin right here. You can find this link on our travel and information section on our website and explore yourself. There are levels for restaurants, things to see, as well as all of our conference venues. So that's Arlington. Like I said, Fort Worth is going to be another great place where we do some our Tuesday night fire starter, as well as a Thursday evening bunch of events. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over to our next map, which is the University of Texas at Arlington. So you can kind of get an idea. This is a very large campus. It's a very fantastic school with a lot of facilities. So I just wanted to provide y'all with a bit of an overview of what this looks like. So this is the conference as a whole. Most of our demos and so forth will be taking place at the Studio Arts Center, which is here. And then zooming out, you'll be able to see that we have our Fine Arts building here, which is where those exhibitions will be held, and our University Center, which is where lectures, panels, gas market, registration, all of that good stuff will be. And we also have an amazing library down here, labeled library very helpfully, where we will have some LECMOs, a little chill space, a fabulous maker space. I know Zach is going to be super excited to see this maker space because it is amazing. So lots to see there. We will have internal shuttles at UTA running between these conference venues, because to walk from the Studio Arts Center over here to the University Center, depending on how fast you walk, it's probably about 15-20 minutes or so. So we'll have some shuttles running. It is a beautiful walk. There's lots of lovely green spaces and trees, but we want to make sure that everyone is fresh and not dealing with accessibility issues. So we will have the UTA shuttles running a loop between these areas. And then we will have additionally a shuttle running between our hotel and the university and the Gray Area Studios, which is where our Flame demos will be taking place. Gray Area is about 5 minutes away from UTA. All right, I'm going to pop back over into our spreadsheet here. And okay, so here we go. As I was saying, the University Center, gas market, gas office, registration, we will have a lot of food options this year, which is really fun. We'll have some cafes, a Starbucks, a snack market available right there in the middle of that. So that's exciting. And then on the second floor, which is accessible via elevators, we'll have our gas lounge, panels, lectures, and a lot of our midday programming. Studio Arts Center will have hot glass demonstrations and performances, neon demonstrations, cold working demonstration, most of our LECMOs, as well as some fun screen printing activities. This is exciting. And then at the Fine Arts Building, that's where we'll have our exhibitions, our film festival, our Jewelry Trunk Show, and the Goblet Grab. So Friday evening, actually, we will have a film festival opening, and that's when our Jewelry Trunk Show and Goblet Grab will be taking place as well. And Gray Area, as I mentioned, that's going to be flame demos and performances, as well as a Friday night flame party for those of y'all who like to get flamey. Sightseeing opportunities, we have 2 great day trips. Tuesday is a full Texas experience day trip with everything from Meow Wolf Grapevine to the an actual cattle drive at the Fort Worth Stockyards. Very, very Texas. And then the half-day trip, Art in Dallas, is Wednesday morning. So that's going to be really lovely with a stop at the Dallas Museum of Art for a Kusama Infinity Room exhibition, a trip to the National Sculpture Garden, which is right nearby, and then ending at Clyde Warren Park, which is a great place to go and explore some food trucks and some public art sculptures before heading back for the conference kickoff. And we do have an accessibility page on our website. So be sure to check that out for any questions you might have about wheelchair access, distance between venues, floors, and conditions of floors and so forth. I do want to point out that the University of Texas at Arlington is one of the most accessible campuses in the United States, or probably anywhere. It is uniquely devoted to physical accessibility. So that is wonderful. And we're really excited to be able to provide that for our attendees this year. Other events to think of, if you're a student and also a glass collector, which is not outside of the realm of possibility, we will have a Monday night collector tour with access to the Dubois collection and the Rachofsky Warehouse. Rachofsky Warehouse is a very kind of highbrow contemporary art collection. It is private and only available by appointment, so that's pretty special. We talked about Firestarter. Thursday evening in Fort Worth, we'll have an architecture lecture with Tom Pfeiffer at the Kimball Museum of Art, as well as a gallery hop, a demo at Seneca Studios, and lots more fun to be had around there. And then I think we've already talked about the rest of the events on here, so we'll just move forward. Okay, Jocelyn, back to y'all.
That will be Zach.
Right on. Let's see, where am I in my notes here? Here we go. So I'm going to talk a bit about getting to the conference. We all know as students, especially in glass, financial situations might be a little tricky. And I'm going to speak on a few ways that how us as students can save a little money on getting to the conference. Next slide, please. I guess one more. Thank you. First off, we have early bird registration tickets. These are member-only 4-day conference passes that are available until January 31st at 11:59 Pacific time. This includes the digital gas journal and a ticket to the closing night party. The early registration price for students is $200, and this will increase to $250 on February 1st. And in the same period, the regular gas member price is $350 and will raise to $400 after the deadline of January 31st. So ensuring you're a gas student member, which is as little as $5, you can stand to save $150 on your ticket. Next slide. Yep. Next, we have the gas work exchange, which students can consider. This is a 4-day conference pass, just like the early bird, where participants commit to working 12 hours in exchange over the course of the conference. This is available through February 22nd at 11:59 Pacific time or while supplies last. Participants must also attend a 1-hour-long online training session prior to the conference. Every year, GAS needs 50 to 100 people to help run the conference, so this is a great way to enrich your conference experience and save some money. Pricing for this ticket is $90 for student members or $170 for non-student members. Next slide. Finally, I'll briefly highlight GAS student scholarships. Unfortunately, the deadline for this closed on December 8th. So hopefully you got your applications in before then, but most of these are recurring, if not all of them. So it'll be good to know for next year when you're planning for that conference as well. First off, we have the Takako Sano Scholarship. This is a scholarship for students and non-students living outside of the conference country. So for this year, those living outside of the United States. This awards, the awardees of this scholarship receive $1,000 to aid in conference admission, travel, and lodging. Secondly, we have the Becky Winship Flameworking Scholarship. This is for students who utilize flameworking techniques. Again, awardees receive $1,000, which aids in conference admission, travel, and lodging. Finally, we have the Eddie and Angela Bernard Scholarship. This is intended for emerging artists and those who require financial assistance in attending the annual GAS conference. For the scholarship, there are 3 awardees which receive $500 to assist in conference attending fees. And next slide. And finally, everything I've mentioned is on the Ways to Save section on the GAS website. So if you need to refer to any dates, that is the place to go in all one concise area. Next slide. I think Jocelyn will take it from here.
All right, so I'm going to talk about some budgeting for taxes. Next slide, please. So, well, the most intimidating part of the whole trip is for a student is putting together a travel plan. But actually, once you get started, I personally find it kind of fun to watch all these things start to come together. So I'm going to lead you through kind of my perspective of a student planning for a conference as an example, and show you a couple tips to make sure that you feel ready to go to Arlington, and also how to get additional funding, stuff like that. And first, let's talk about hotels and travel. And most people are going to be staying at the Crown Plaza Arlington, which is the conference hotel. I believe GAS offers a special discount, which is $140 US dollars per night, double occupancy. So that's just something to keep in mind. All suites include a living room and restrooms, and free breakfast are also included. Next slide, please. And if you're more on a budget, you definitely want to consider booking websites like Airbnb, which is a service that lets property owners rent out their spaces to travelers looking for a place to stay. So I guess if you're going to the conference with a group of friends, you can rent a space to share with private rooms or the entire property for yourselves. And these options can be cheaper or more readily available than hotels. If I travel alone, sometimes I usually use booking.com to look for hotels, since they have good filters and it's very easy. It's a very easy site to kind of navigate. And I like their maps that show nearby hotels and prices in the area I'm seeking. So definitely check that out for an alternative option. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about building a travel budget from a student's perspective. Now, this may look different from everyone, but when building a budget and trying to figure out what I might end up spending, I really like working with Excel or working with like a table-based system, just because it allows me to really write things out and for this context. Generally, I will really be considering what's my round trip going to be like. I'm going to be coming from Japan, so that's like halfway across the world. So I would think about the day that I want to arrive and depart. And if I'm coming from a different time zone, you might want to consider things like jet lag. So if you know that extra half day or full day might not be a terrible idea if you can afford it, in order to just get your body used to the time. So flight is definitely the biggest thing if you're coming from outside US. And there's also options for driving or road trip, which is a fantastic idea for people coming from the US. And you also want to consider your conference pass, whether you choose a work study or a full pass. You definitely want to make sure you put that in. And also, as a student, I might want to go to the networking night on May 13th to get to know some people and make connections, as well as the half day and full day trip organized by GAS, just to explore the art culture and the city, in which I highly recommend you all to do. And calculating daily allowance is basically like meals and incidental for the days that I'll be there, which can get a little bit tricky when traveling abroad. For example, how much you think that you should be able to put in for a day, I would recommend searching online and doing a bit of research. But that's something you definitely want to consider, especially if you have kind of like dietary restrictions or something special. So make sure you plan ahead. And for accommodation, if you're able to split a room with your friend, that's really ideal, especially if you're on a budget. And just making sure that, you know, if you have a friend that you both research the prices and decide on that together. So that's like, there's no surprise and you know how to kind of pay each other back, because that can get tricky too with like a large group of friends. And if you're doing Airbnb again, just make sure that you're researching those prices, because they do fluctuate the price as you book them within kind of the next couple of months. And also consider the refund policy on all these Airbnbs, just in case sometimes plans change or your flight is late, something like that. And I also really want to go to explore the museums and galleries, so I put in admission for that. And if you're building a budget for a grant or funding, that's totally something that can actually be part of your learning and experience for sure. And for public transportation, I searched that there are bus routes, I think, and that's just an estimate of how much I would spend for taking the buses or other transportations. Next slide, please. Well, the best way to travel is definitely with someone else's money. As a student, you definitely want to research for some funding opportunities to get to the conference. There are the guest student scholarships, but the deadline has already been passed. In case you didn't apply for that, most post-secondaries also tend to have a lot of travel and experience scholarships for educational trips. If you're in school right now, be sure to check with your school and make sure that you're not missing any of those opportunities. And local art organizations on the municipal, state, provincial, and federal level often have great opportunities as well. Again, I can only speak from a North American perspective here, but oftentimes if you look at arts and culture grants for a lot of countries, you will find quite a few that you might be able to apply for. And another great option is if you and your friends or your classmates really want to go to conference, you guys can totally work and fundraise together. Just be sure to mention the money is going to a great cause, and you can share costs with group travel as well. Next slide, please. If you're going for a grantor scholarship, they're different from around the world, but the majority of them really want to see how an experience affects you and benefits you in the future. So when you're doing a written proposal, you really want to mention why you should go to Texas. Here are a couple examples that was given by Leia, who was our previous student rep. So like a weak statement might be, I just want to go to Texas to learn more about glass, versus a stronger statement that you might be able to write is, I would like to do X that will result in Y and will have a lasting impact on my career Z. So like whatever you fit in there. So the X plus Y equals Z formula is often a great place to start if you're not sure like where to start in terms of writing grants, because you're talking about what you want to do and why and what effect it would have on your practice, which is what most people want to hear about. Next slide, please. And a couple more examples that Leia has left us. One example statement is that I would like to travel to GAS 2025 conference in Arlington, Texas to attend, maybe insert a specific demo, a lecture, or an experience like someone you really want to see or something you really want to learn in there. Be specific about why you can't have that experience elsewhere. For example, we have this year a lot of neon demos that you're not going to be able to find this huge kind of collection of amazing neon vendors pretty much at any other big event that you could regularly attend. So that's a huge reason if you're interested in that to come to the conference, and that's what a grant wants to hear about. And another example statement is that this experience will help me kind of advance my skills as a glass artist because dot 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 kind of insert your reasoning there again, whether it's a technical skill or whether it's networking or something professional, whether you want to pursue like a master degree or additional residency and want to get connected with people behind it, whatever that means, and then to talk about how you intend to build on the experience when you come back home by pursuing a new project, learning new skill, preparing for another grant, for another travel opportunity. So again, it's the X plus Y equals Z reasoning. Next slide, please. And my final tips for applying for grant is to include a detailed budget and schedule to show that you're well organized and well planned. A lot of grants will already require this because it's also just great for your own knowledge and reference. Even if you don't get the grant, it's great to have that budget and schedule ready to go for when you go to Texas anyway. And if you do get a grant, make sure you bring your phone with you to take lots of photos and videos for documentation. It's going to be great for your own social media, but it's also really good to show the organization about like what you did with the money and had a great time learning a lot. And a lot of grants will require that as kind of part of your debrief. Also ask for help from anyone on the guest team. We're happy to help you if you have any question about the conference or if you have questions about like upcoming lectures or demos accessibility. And if you need someone to give you like a travel letter or some kind of receipt for a ticket or maybe something just as a reference for a budget, feel free to contact the guest team. And we're absolutely here to help, and we really want to help you guys to get to the conference this year. Next slide, please. And the last little bit we're going to talk about is some tips for what to bring. The temperature in Arlington, Texas for May usually range between 17 to 28 degrees Celsius. For those of you in the US, that's 80 to 88 degrees Fahrenheit. We recommend comfortable walking shoes, clothes that you can really lay and take off depending on the weather, and a light jacket for some rain and chill. If you can squeeze in one of your foldable travel umbrella, that's not a bad idea since it might get a little rainy. Your various toiletries, especially if you're coming to the fire starter, maybe a set of nice clothes for networking. A comfy day bag is not a bad idea since you'll mostly be traveling around. Any medication, medical notes, as needed and applicable to your situation. A camera, phone for photos for sure. A portable charger, again, always a good idea when you're traveling. And remember, different countries use different outlets, so be sure to grab your adapters and find the right ones before you leave. Make sure you double check your phone plan as well. If you're staying there for a while, see if you can actually get a local SIM card because that will actually save your money. And make sure you bring your passport, your wallet, of course, a copy of your gas conference schedule, and your ticket, which you can pick up at the registration. So be sure to go to the registration first thing once you settle down to grab all that stuff so you know exactly where to go and when things are happening. Next slide, please. Well, also think ahead about buying tools or materials or getting prices. The gas market is a fantastic place where you can get all kinds of great tools at great and discounted prices for your practice. And if you can manage to squeeze them in your luggage on your way home, you get to save on shipping costs, which is a bonus. So if you are planning to come and do a bit of shopping, make sure that you consider your weight restrictions for luggage and leave extra room for purchases on the way home. For me, I usually like to leave ideally 5 to 10 kilogram of extra room in weight in my travel luggage just in case. Remember to keep all your receipts, and for purchases when you return home, that includes your tools, your hotel, and your kind of food purchase. If you run a small business and you're a student in some countries, you can write those off absolutely as expenses during tax season. But they're also really good to have in case you go across the border and someone asking you like what did you do. You can show like those evidence. So be sure to keep all those receipts in a safe place. And as you go around US, if you did end up buying too much, whether it's souvenir or tools, or come home with a prize or some sort that you weren't planning to, you can always ship them home, and that might end up being better than just sticking in your luggage, especially if what you bought was a really delicate piece of glass. Next slide, please. For students coming to the US from other countries, definitely check if you need a visa to enter the US. And if you are staying longer than the conference dates, double check the visa and passport requirement. And if you need to apply for a visa, please also feel free to email the GAS team for kind of entry or recommendation letters. Next slide, please. That's pretty much it for our presentation today. So we're going to end off with an open Q&A period. So if you have any questions about the conference, about taxes, or how to get there, we're going to be open the floor. If you feel more comfortable, we're going to be here for a little while to talk about pretty much anything conference related. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Jocelyn and Zach, for such a great and informative presentation. And I guess folks are always welcome to email us with questions. And we will make sure that we have information in the link below on our YouTube channel so that you can follow links and get in contact with us. And we hope to see you in Texas.